Hello and welcome to another edition of the Willy-Nilly show. Today is our first ever show with a guest, and who better than the phlegm? Sorry about that. The voice was echoing. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Willy-Nilly show. Today we are doing our first ever show with a guest, and who better than the flamboyant Larry C. Johnson? Larry is a man of many hats. There are many feathers in each hat. Larry was a former CIA intel analyst. He's a weapons trainer and instructor. He's a counterterrorism expert who has both advised and planned the United States State Department. And so let's welcome Larry.
Hi there.
Hi, Larry. Larry, if I've missed out on anything, I know you're magnanimous enough to forgive me and fill in the blanks.
No, that's all. No, it was a fair introduction.
Yeah, sorry about the echo. I mean, my other thing was on and it was echoing. Sorry about that.
That's no problem.
So, Larry, you look rather relaxed after your Russian trip. And I would rather say that you are glowing with confidence, and that confidence comes from accumulating too much first-hand information. So please, share a few juicy nuggets from your Russian stint, briefly.
Well, the Russians have a different mindset than the West. As the simplest way to put it, the West is consumed with a zero-sum game mentality, and the Russians are looking at the world in a different way, as a way that you can have what's called a positive sum game, where there doesn't have to be a loser. There can be everybody can be a winner, but there has to be some pragmatism on the part of the other party, and that's where the West is missing out. They do not understand Russia. They do not understand Russia and its capabilities, and until the West wakes up and comes out of that self-delusion, I don't see there being any negotiated settlement to this war. I think it'll continue, and Russia will win it on the battlefield.
I'm glad you said that because, I've got many friends who are from England or America, people here in the West, They have nothing good to say about Russia, be it the weapons, be it the technology or culture or Russians as a whole. I even have friends, from England and America who are wanting to go and fight in Ukraine, against the Russians. I said, go ahead and do it. Of course, they didn't go, but, the sorry state of affairs that prevails, it's
you'd like to get the life insurance business for them. They sign you off as the beneficiary, you send them off to war. It'd be a great money-making opportunity.
Yeah, and
they're not going to come back alive. The odds of that are slim.
Yesterday I was reading your article, which was, I'll just put it up. I'll share the screen. So this is your yesterday's article. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Russia's military advantage over NATO.
Oh, no, it's not up. It's not up yet.
Yeah, this one. Can you see it now?
No.
Okay. I have to edit.
There it is.
You can see it now.
Yeah.
So, Larry, I was reading this article of yours, Russia's military advantage over NATO, and it is so funny I can provide the evidence right here, right now. There's this journalist, he wrote an article in the beginning of October. Can you see it?
I see my article.
You see your article. I'll have to remove yours first. And then okay, let me just pull it up. That is a wonderful evidence for what you've written. Screen. And I think now you can see once I... Yeah, now you can see. You can see it now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the article is about basically the first week of October, where the journalists have written about how the Russian Iskander-M destroys the US-made HIMARS multiple, launch rocket system. You can see the photographs here. And he has also given the exact coordinates. So, when I was reading your article, I was also chuckling. I said, you've written one thing, that the Russian thing is much better. We're way ahead of the NATO. And then we have evidence sitting right here, right now in front of us. So it's funny, how things happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, the West, if you've ever watched two fighters before at the weigh-in ceremony, before a boxing match, sometimes one of the fighters is the one mouthing off, speaking disrespectfully of the other opponent, bragging, being very dismissive of his opponent. Then they get in the ring, and it's the guy with the big mouth that gets knocked out first. That's sort of what's going on here. The West is talking a big game, but as I pointed out in the article last night, if you're looking at tanks, if it's strictly NATO countries, they haven't produced any new main battle tanks. The ones that are producing main battle tanks are South Korea, which last I checked are not part of NATO, but they're making them and selling them to Poland. But even then, Russia still makes more, about a third more battle tanks, modern battle tanks, than all of NATO combined. With artillery, the shells, the Russians enjoy a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 advantage over all of NATO combined. Drones, they're about a 3-to-1 advantage.
Funny you say that, because, I've been listening to President Trump and all the American officials. They always say that America, both tactical and strategic, they have a maximum number of nuclear weapons, which is a lie. Russia has the maximum number of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, well, why worry about facts when you're doing an entertainment show? Trump's an entertainer. I'm surprised he hasn't put the Billy Joel song, I Am an Entertainer, out as sort of his major theme song. You don't have to worry about facts. He said he'd end the war in 24 hours. Well, that turned out not to be true.
Yeah.
So he said he obliterated Iranian nuclear sites. That turned out not to be true.
And apparently he was phoning before bombing it. They're phoning people and telling them we're about to bomb it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're expecting things to be lying there, and not being moved.
Right.
Yeah, so moving on to the topic for today, Larry. So, it won't be a rhetorical exaggeration to say, and pardon my saying so, that America is a bully, an aggressor, and an invader. And yet, they keep calling Russia an evil empire and President Putin a bully, a dictator, and an invader-aggressor, which is a lie, So I wouldn't be surprised if some Western leader's wife runs away with a postman or a bartender, and they'll blame Putin for it. I wouldn't be surprised for that.
Yeah.
So, America has this habit of waging useless, mindless wars everywhere. They never win it. Their strategy is to prolong the war so that it becomes one long defense expo where all the hardware is on display. And then, after they get a bloodied nose, they beat a hasty retreat. They did it in Vietnam. In Afghanistan, they fought for almost 20 years. And what happened? They got a bloodied nose, but this time it was not a hasty retreat. It was a very strategic retreat where they left equipment worth $85 to $87 billion there to be used by whom. And then they did the same thing in Iraq twice, not once, twice, once in the garb of trying to free Kuwait. And the second time, Tony Blair apparently told George Bush, the junior, that, hey, there are weapons of mass destruction to be found. We didn't find them, I mean, like I looked anywhere. I mean, like anywhere I look, I never found a picture of weapons of mass destruction because they didn't find it. The only weapon of mass destruction that they found in a silo was Saddam Hussein hiding in a hole. And then they murdered him. So what are they talking about then? Libya, then Egypt, Korea as we know, Middle East problem we know. So, they keep doing it, and now apparently they have set their evil sight on Venezuela. And because they want their troops to be ready for war, they hurriedly announced this Quantico military commanders conference, where all the commanders from all the commands congregated. And what were they told? Absolute rubbish, that you are fat, that you have to no longer be a defensive army, but you have to win wars. So all of a sudden that could have been said in a teleconference, in a video conference, or over a secure hotline. So what was the need? What are they hiding? I mean, why this red herring? In fact, this administration is all about red herrings. It's red herrings galore. So tell me, what are they hiding, Larry?
Well, I don't think they're hiding anything. It's the built-in incentives to conduct these kinds of military operations usually increase the profits for the corporations that are tasked with producing the weapons. So it's largely about the money. It's always dressed up as some bigger strategic objective without actually defining something strategically. So they're not good at thinking through the end game. But they are good at saying, hey, this is going to be good for Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Boeing, pick your favorite stock. They're doing just fine.
The reason I'm saying they're trying to hide something is because, it's a favorite, strategy of politicians that when they are losing, when they are not doing well, they try to raise the jingoistic spirit, the patriotic spirit of the masses, and in his case, the MAGA people, telling them, hey, we are going to Venezuela now, we did this here in Iran, we did this, we want to do that, so that they don't lose the midterms. And then, because apparently they have been saying, even the US administration has been saying that towards the last quarter of this year, they're expecting a huge market crash, something like the Great Depression and the Recession. So are they trying to hide all these things and have those MAGA people rally behind them in the midterms?
Well, no, I don't think they're hiding anything. You're assuming that they're thinking this through logically, and that they're thinking strategically, and they're looking long term.
Okay.
You might be correct, but I tend to believe that they're not thinking strategically. They're focused like a small child on satisfying immediate wants and needs. And as such, they're not playing chess thinking, okay, if I move this piece here, what options does that leave my opponent? How will they move? And then once they make that move, what options will that confront me with? They don't think that way.
So I'm reading too much into it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, in the course of my experience, started in 1985. I've never seen the kind of thinking that you're describing take place. It's more like we used to have a television show when I was growing up called Captain Kangaroo, and it was he had a guy they called Mr. Green Jeans on it, so he was dressed up as a farmer. And at one point, he'd get these 2 meter sticks, and he'd put a dinner plate on the top of it and spin it, and then he'd put another one up, and so they'll go see how many plates spinning on these 2 meter sticks he could get going, because you knew at some point they're going to come crashing down. That's Trump's foreign policy. In fact, that's been America's foreign policy. Spin the plates, entertain those who are watching, but and then make some money for yourself in the process. But as far as positioning yourself strategically, what the if the United States was thinking strategically, they would have picked up Andrei Martyanov's book, Losing Military Supremacy, which he wrote 8 years ago, where he laid out what the problem was. You've got very expensive weapon systems that are costly to make, costly to use, and vulnerable to new technologies, and not integrated into any kind of national strategy. And meanwhile, we pick a fight with Russia without thinking through, do we have the means, the wherewithal to prevail? And, as I pointed out in the article last night that you highlighted, there's not a single weapon system where the United States has an advantage over Russia, not one. Where there are multiple weapon systems where Russia has clear advantage over the United States.
I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you pretty late, because I think this event happened a month ago, the Quantico thing. The reason I'm saying it is because after Quantico, a couple of things have happened which throw a light on, I think they won't be invading Venezuela, because first, the Nobel Prize winner, that is a American puppet, and yesterday she was all dolled up. She came and made a video file saying that sitting on the largest oil reserves, 8th largest gas reserves.
Right.
We have got gold, we've got silver, we have got rare earth metals. Please come and take it. So apparently invasion won't be necessary. All she has to do is, with the external help, topple the Maduro regime, and then she will roll out the red carpet for CIA and deep state in America, and one more country, is in America's pocket. And
the rare earth mineral is one thing that, again, most people don't understand. We have in the United States, 40 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, there are piles of minings, the tailings from a mine, a gypsum mine, that is just sitting on the surface. They're filled with all these rare earth minerals. The problem is you've got to be able to process them in order to extract the specific mineral, like germanium. Well, that is a costly, expensive, and pretty dirty process. It can't be done easily or done overnight. So, Russia has perfected that process. And that's part of the problem. The West doesn't have an alternative for it. So, Venezuela can offer all sorts of rare earth minerals too. But they don't have they're not processors. You got to have processed finished product. China's the one that holds the monopoly on that.
Yeah, China, after that, Japan is there, and then Russia, and to some extent Australia. I think Australia is there. But yeah, China has an edge, over others. And the second thing, a couple of days ago, Tulsi Gabbard, who I think is just biding her time here because the masters won't listen to her anyway. And she was apparently talking, to people. She was addressing, a crowd. And she said a couple of days ago that our policy of regime change is not good. But why she's saying it when apparently, the masters have already set their eye on Venezuela? So why are they doing it? Why does she have to all the time say things which she cannot do later? Like she said, I'm going to put Obama in jail. I'm going to release Epstein files.
Well, but she didn't say she'd release the Epstein files, and she was not in no position. She has no prosecutorial authority. She just accused Obama of being a traitor, which is different.
Yeah, but I think she said that we're going to put him in jail, and that never materialized because, apparently she has got no say.
Well, all she's expressing at that point is an opinion. Again, she has no power to do that.
Yeah. But still, it makes a fool out of you that you're saying all these things, and none of these things actually happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, she's in a weak bureaucratic position.
Yeah.
Again, she doesn't control the Epstein files either. That's Pam Bondi. Now, You want to talk to Pam Bondi? Yeah, she's got a lot to answer for.
And then the FBI guy, what's his name, Kash Patel, he's also not able to do much. It's just, yeah. So second thing I want to discuss with you is Trump's UNGA remark. He made a very odd remark. He said that Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world, which you and I know is a lie. Christianity rules the world through Vatican, through Anglican Church, through CIA, and even, South America very well. So you take Christianity out of South America, what remains? Nothing. So why was he saying, why did he make such an odd remark? And this term of his, unlike the 45th, is all about Christianity, Christianity, and Christianity. So what's happening to him? Where is he going with all this?
Well, actually, I think there's some merit to what he said. I mean, number one, look at what the Zionists are doing to Christians in the West Bank. They're burning their villages, destroying their olive trees, and attacking them. The same thing has been happening in Nigeria. Now, it's not a global phenomenon, and I think that was where it was erroneous for him to suggest it's taking place in isolated areas. Actually, you can make the case that some of the attacks on, if you will, evangelical Christianity is pretty strong here in the United States. Within Central and South America, you've got a growing division where the Catholic Church, which historically was a dominant presence, force in all those countries, has actually been challenged and its authority weakened by the rise of evangelical Christian churches. So, again, for Trump, it's plucking low-hanging fruit that touches an emotional button with people, and that he uses it to try to build support for himself.
But I think he was referring to what's happening in Europe, where so many illegal Muslim immigrants are there, and so he was.
Well, I mean, in Europe, it's the presence of the various illegal migrants, again, caused in part by U.S. policies in the Middle East.
Yeah,
in particular.
They themselves invited them. It was the politics.
But it was European, the original European inhabitants of those countries that stopped attending, moved off and became more secular. So that's not necessarily the fault of the migrants.
Yeah. They were invited there in the first place. Yeah. Okay, and Larry, a peace meet was organized by Viktor Orban in Budapest. Why was it cancelled? It could have done well for the world and could have made Viktor Orban highly popular, which, he's already popular. But was it cancelled because they never wanted Orban to hold the limelight? As a journalist wrote, she wrote, I have written it down, that Budapest is a crack in the edifice of war, and they wanted to just cement it.
Yeah. Now, who said that?
There was a journalist, I was reading an article, and she had written a wonderful point that Budapest is a crack in the edifice of war.
Well, yeah, I don't think just Budapest. I mean, Slovakia as well.
Yeah. Serbia.
NATO is far from a unified entity, as the same can be said for the EC or the EU. I used to know it as the European Community.
Yeah. So, but why was it cancelled? It could have could have gone through with it. It could have done wonders. So,
I didn't hear that last part. Why was what canceled?
Why was this Budapest meet cancelled? Why didn't it happen like it happened in Alaska?
Well, in part because Trump and his team don't listen to the Russians. The story we got out of the Kremlin was that Lavrov spoke to Rubio, and they agreed that there was no need to meet because there was nothing new that was going to be discussed or agreed upon. So they said, we'll postpone it. I don't know what Trump and Putin have agreed to privately, if anything. But maybe, one possibility is Trump has told Putin, you've got a chance to I'll give you 6 months to bring an end to this thing, and I'm going to do these other statements, et cetera, to try to placate all the hawks on my side of the pond. But recognize that you guys got the free hand to finish off Ukraine, and I think Ukraine actually could be finished off in the next 6 months.
Do you think Mr. Putin wants to take the whole of Ukraine and add it?
No.
No?
They're going to take what they need in order to create an appropriate buffer. They will capture the Dnipropetrovsk or Dnipro, Kharkiv, Sumy, Poltava, Odessa, and then they'll have a vote. They'll give the people in those territories a chance to vote whether to join Russia or to stay with Ukraine. And it will be an internationally monitored election. And so that's one way that they will try to build up a buffer zone to the west.
But what if Ukraine becomes a part of Russia again? Wouldn't it be better, because then the Westerners won't be coming there again and again, because the greed never stops?
Well, Ukraine would be better off if they reunited with Russia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But they're not going to do that, because there are too many of the banderistas, this neo-Nazi crowd west of the Dnieper, that are going to remain antagonists as long as Russia exists.
And you met many Ukrainian officials, ex-Ukrainian officials there, and then I was going through your video files. What do they say? Do they say that it will be better if Ukraine becomes a part of Russia again, or what do they say? What's their take on it?
Well, they didn't have a clear position. I mean, they recognized that Ukraine has to be defeated militarily, and then the process for getting rid of the Nazi influence hasn't been well defined yet. But that'll be the task ahead of them.
Okay. Yeah, they had this Azov battalion there fighting the war initially, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ukraine. The one thing former Prime Minister Azarov made clear is that Ukraine is dying. When he was Prime Minister in 2010, he said he had a population of 57 million Ukrainians.
Yeah.
And he said the estimate now is that's down to 20 million. Just it's dramatic fall off.
Yeah, I did read that article of yours, 57 to 20. That's quite a dip. I mean, I think most of them have moved to other Western countries like England or America, and then some have been killed.
Yeah, well, the Ukraine's probably lost between killed and wounded over 2 million soldiers. But as I pointed out to Azarov, I have seen for myself. The dentist, I live here in Florida, and the dentist, my dentist is Ukrainian. He left Ukraine. I had a refrigerator that had to have a water line replaced. The guy that did it, he was Ukrainian. He'd been here for 2 years.
Yeah,
they're leaving, and they're coming to America and Europe.
I do remember that thing that you told the Ukrainian guy, the ex-prime minister. You were saying the exact same thing. So, what are the chances of another meet happening anytime soon between Putin and Trump? Do you see it? Or
unlikely, slim. Again, what is there to discuss? If Trump's made it clear he's not going to give tomahawks, so the only thing to discuss is things that Trump's not willing to do, which is end all support for Ukraine. Until Trump takes that step, I doubt there will be another imminent summit or meeting between Trump and Putin.
Yeah, and apparently he's talking about restarting nuclear tests, because he says that China, Russia, North Korea are doing it, and also Pakistan is doing it, which Pakistan is doing it on their behalf. It's their nuclear, arsenal which is there. So that's funny. So I think right now peace is not on their mind.
Yes, I'd agree.
Yeah. So, Larry, thank you for coming. And
All right. Listen, Rahul, thank you.
yeah, and it's dot 30th minute, and we have just nailed it in 30 minutes. So I thank you again. You were dot on time. You're very punctual, and I appreciate it. And
All right. Good.
this will be
I try to be. I try to be respectful of people and their time.
No, I expected you to be very punctual because you come across as a very punctual and nice kind of a guy. So I see this as one of many, and I look forward to seeing you soon again.
All right. Thanks, Rahul. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye.